today in /MaliciousCompliance. Want me to withdraw your redress payment? Yes, ma'am. So I work for a major bank, dealing with the giving of refunds for missold payment protection insurance. Hi. Specifically, I'm on the team that deals with complex queries and unusual situations, as well as when the customer has further queries after we have sent our rejection or acceptance of their complaint. A few months ago, the part of our team that calls customers with issues that the normal call centers in India can't deal with was a bit short-handed, and as I'm one of the most senior team members with knowledge of all the processes our team uses, I was asked to call customers to assist, as I was having a slow day and my productivity is high enough that I can afford to spend about 2 days a week doing other tasks if need be. Most of these consist of please explain why my redress payment isn't higher. Please can you run me through how you calculated my refund, etc., with about 1 in 5 requiring specialist knowledge of a particular law or bank process. So, enter angry customer, henceforth known as Karen. Karen had been offered a hefty refund sum, around 3,000, well above the average, and we were currently in the process of paying it. Karen had rung up to demand why she wasn't receiving 7,000, as that was what all the adverts said. Apparently, we had deliberately lowered her payment because of reasons. She was kind of unclear. I explained to Karen that the adverts are misleading and that your average complaint handler has no control over the amount of money each customer receives, as things such as date taken out, time Pi was active, etc., are all taken into account and fed through a calculation program which gives us a figure. Apparently, I was lying. Karen demanded that I withdraw her payment and give her a new, more appropriate offer. I explained to the customer that we couldn't just withdraw an offer, and if she felt she was entitled to more redress, she could take it up with the financial ombudsman, who would review her case. Regardless of their decision, her payment would be going ahead. Karen wasn't having any of it, and demanded I look at her files and personally pay her a bigger sum. Rolling my eyes, I humored her and did a brief scan of her files. Oh, what's this? It looks like Karen was declared bankrupt about 15 years ago, and both the initial contact team and payments had missed it. To be fair, it was kind of well hidden and your average employee wouldn't recognize it. For those who don't know, being bankrupt affects you for the rest of your life, as even when you discharged, you just go into a less bad bankruptcy. The only way out is to pay back every last penny. Anyway, for Pi, this means she is not entitled to any redress and furthermore, isn't even allowed to make a complaint. Normally, procedure in this case is to inform the customer that you will arrange for a colleague to call them back in an hour or so, and then to consult with the insolvency team. The insolvency team will then call the customer back to explain the situation, how it relates to their specific insolvency, and the steps forward. In this case, her offer would be withdrawn, and she would be told her available options. However, I run the insolvency team, and all complex insolvency queries go through me. This means I am authorized to proceed with the call as is. Karen is in the middle of another rant while I'm looking into this, and is again demanding that I withdraw her payment and send her a letter with the amount she deserves. As said before, normally I run the customer through the situation and explain what their options to claim the money were. For Karen, though, I apologize to Karen polite as can be and tell her that yes, I will be withdrawing her payment and sending her a letter detailing her new redress. Karen huffs and complains it took me long enough, and then hangs up. I delete all of her redress off the system, close down the payment memo, and then send the most bare bones withdrawal of offer due to bankruptcy letter I can. Normally, I fill in a lot of extra details so the customer finds it easier to understand and understands everything. They rarely happy, but they understand why we have to take that position. However, we don't actually have to do that as per the procedure. Off goes the letter, first class, as the customer did seem like she wanted her new amount quickly. I congratulate myself on doing exactly what the customer wanted. Karen wrote in a few weeks later, whining, I ensure the item is routed to our team that reissues letters. This ensures that the exact same letter is sent out, along with a covering letter saying, please find enclosed the requested information. After all, no point writing a new letter when I've already answered the query once. We were about to pay customer $3,000 due to bank missing her bankruptcy. Customer demands higher payment, leading me to notice and withdraw everything. Edit. A bit of information for those in the comments who want to know why being bankrupt affects the refund. If the pie was sold before the bankruptcy, 99 of cases, then it becomes an asset of the bankruptcy, which means anything that comes from it belongs to the official receiver, bankruptcy owner. This means that if we paid the customer, we'd basically be giving them someone else's money. If we did this knowingly, it can be classed as fraud. Additionally, both our legal team and the official receiver's office have confirmed that the customer isn't allowed to raise the complaint themselves, and that it has to come from them. I do sometimes feel bad for the customers, especially when they think that being discharged from a bankruptcy means it's all over, but there's literally nothing that we can do. For us to make payment to the customer, the bankruptcy would need to be annulled. This means that they've paid back every penny, and the customer is treated as if the bankruptcy never happened. This next one is entitled No Refund Policy, Bet. So this was a few years ago, 2016 I believe, and happened in Miami. I had just finished my first summer working 40-60-hour weeks in 2 restaurants at a very popular tourist destination in the Northeast, so was super burnt out by the end of August. Since I was still doing my undergraduate degree, I wanted to take about a week or 2 in between finishing up my summer work and starting the new semester. My boyfriend and I thought it would be fun to go to Miami for a few days. I found a small 1-bedroom apartment on Erin that looked like was a solid bet. We didn't need something insane but wanted to be comfortable. The total ended up being around $700 for 5 nights. Once we got there, the place is actually a studio in a questionable apartment building with barely working and unstable door knobs and locks. Okay, fine, so there's that. But then in the room there is no screen on the broken window. It was one of those windows where there's glass panes like blinds that can fold up and down. But the thing was shattering in multiple places. But it's 2016, and everyone's freaking out about Zika virus, especially in Miami. I know it was probably dumb to make the trip to begin with, but when we booked, the panic hadn't gotten to the levels they were at during that time. Plus, I wasn't pregnant or planning on it. I still didn't want Zika though, and after paying that $700, I was expecting to at least have functioning doors, locks, windows, not to mention how dirty the rest of the place was and how many hairs were all over the shower and sink. So I contact the host, who tells me the other guests had no problems. Use book spray, you will be fine. After going back and forth a few times of me explaining why to take psycho seriously, that I do not feel comfortable sleeping exposed to all the mosquitoes in the hot sun the city had dubbed to be the most potential for infection, and asking if she could fix the window in any way, maybe come, seal it or bring a screen. It's not my responsibility to repair this woman's errand after all. I finally punted and asked for a refund since we would need to find another accommodation. Coming off a very long season of dealing with people's shit, I was over it. Wellness host tells me that I can't have a refund since she has that stated on her profile, regardless of the circumstances. I say no worries. Thanks for all your help. Reach out to Aaron and they tell me they cannot refund my money because of the host's policy on their page, but they would give me a credit of my stay on my account to be used in the future. Okay, but not what I needed. I needed to go to a hotel now, which costs money. Reach out to my bank. Tell the sweet southern woman on the phone of my extremely dramatic Zika exposure whirlwind. Tell her that I am not staying at the Aaron property, and I will not pay the charges. And just like that, my account grew about $700 that day. We went up the coast a bit outside of the Zika zone, got a great hotel, and had a good vacation. Till der Aaron host refused refund, I get the charge disputed by the bank and an extra Aaron. This next one is entitled Count My Work Hours at the End of the Month. All right. I, 23, decided to take a year off university to earn some money and have some fun before my last year as a student. I found a job in retail fairly easy, as I've worked in stores ever since I was old enough to work. My boss was thrilled to find someone with experience who could help improve her small store. My job was great at first, despite everything in the store needing to be done manually. We have to write receipts down by hand, make a list of articles in the store every month. We didn't even have a clear schedule of work. The boss would just call us and ask us if we could work the next day. My coworker and I weren't bothered about any of it, except the schedule. She's going to university this year, and not knowing when she works is seriously messing up her progress in class. Our boss would also get really upset and mad whenever we told her we couldn't work the next day due to other plans. A few weeks into the job, I decided to fix that. I made her a spreadsheet, which she could use to plan our work hours, like in any other company I ever worked for, in advance. We also gave her our schedules 3 weeks in advance so she could build and plan around it. Her response: this doesn't work for me, but something comes in between, and the person who's supposed to work doesn't show. I tried to explain that if that were to occur, the other will just try to show up, but she was having none of it, insisting that us learning whether we worked or not the next day was just fine. It wasn't, but okay. I didn't want my work to go to waste, so I altered the sheet to work as something that counts our monthly hours at work, since that also had to be done by hand, and it was unnecessary time wasted. I'm sure most of us keep track of hours spent at work, just in case. I tried improving some other things in the store, like building a database for articles we have so we wouldn't have to hand count everything every month or every time she had to order something new. She sternly told me to delete everything I did because she doesn't like the look of it. Side note, this is kind of biting her in the butt right now, because some providers are now giving her smack about the way she reports items sold at the end of each month. That database she made me delete and the way it generated the list of items in storage is exactly what they want from her from now on. Skip to a few days ago, a few months into the job, and I'm tired of her attitude. I try to help her improve the store, show motivation, present my ideas, and she shuts everything down, and we stay in the same cycle of work that wouldn't be needed if she'd just take up some of my ideas. Ideen, my coworker, already quit. She's not in the store purely for emergencies until a replacement is found. My boss comes into the store and tells me it's payday. Sweet. She usually wants us to count the hours by ourselves and then compare with what she counted, but apparently she was in a bad mood that particular day and wanted me to go through everything again. Boss, we have to go over your hours for the previous month. I'd like you to count them now and tell me how many you had. Me? Okay. I already have them counted, so you can just tell me how many you got, and we can check if it matches with mine. I pulled up the sheet which both coworker and I update daily, so we don't have to do this at the end of each month. She apparently didn't like that response, since she loves doing everything by hand so much. She came barreling from her office and into the store, yelling at me how I shouldn't be checking the spreadsheet of my hour count, and that I have to delete it from the computer immediately and to never try one of my improvements ever again. I, having been tired of her shit, just raised my eyebrows and did exactly as she said. I deleted the spreadsheet. Boss, now satisfied. Good. Now I would like you to count and report the hours you worked last month. All right. I pulled my phone out and showed her the exact same spreadsheet, except this one also calculated how much I should be getting paid for my time. I counted hours, which means I should be getting paid a year. She was absolutely livid with me. She was banging and throwing things in her office before she came back and handed me my hard-earned cash. Bonus. That was also the day I decided I no longer wanted to work for her due to her abusive behavior to both me and my coworker. I informed her of my decision the next day, and now she has to find 2 replacements. I take some pity on her and jump when she really needs someone, but am otherwise free from her clutches. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, smash the bell, and whatever else our YouTube overlords require nowadays.